Have you ever really thought about your toilet? I mean, beyond its obvious job. It turns out it has this whole secret language. Yeah, really. All those little drips, gurgles, and wobbles, they aren't just random noises. They're actually early warnings for some pretty big problems in your house. So let's dive in and figure out what your toilet is actually trying to tell you.
So, what is it saying? We're going to break down all the most common sounds and sights, from the stuff that's just a little annoying to the things that are seriously alarming. By the end of this, you're going to be a toilet whisperer, ready to catch problems before they turn into total disasters.
All right, let's start with the little things. The stuff that kind of drives you crazy. The quirks you might be tempted to just ignore. But trust me, even these everyday annoyances are sending you a message.
You know the sound. That faint, constant hissing that just never stops. It's like a ghost in the plumbing machine, and it's easily one of the most common issues you'll run into.
Now, the interesting thing is, the cause is usually super simple. It almost always boils down to one of three culprits hiding inside the tank. You've either got a flapper that's worn out and not sealing the drain right, a fill valve that just doesn't know when to quit, or a float that's kind of knocked out of position.
So, why should you care about a little hiss? Get this. A constantly running toilet can waste up to 200 gallons of water every single day. That's not just a little drip, that's a huge hit to your water bill. It really shows you how a tiny little problem can have a massive impact. Okay, on to the next major frustration. You push the handle, the water swirls around, but it just doesn't have that oomph to get the job done. The dreaded weak flush. We've all been there.
This one is almost always a flow problem. So either there isn't enough water in the tank to begin with, or the water that is there is getting blocked on its way into the bowl. And that's usually because of tiny clogged jets, often from mineral buildup over time.
And here is a huge piece of expert advice to prevent this and, frankly, much worse clogs. Those so-called flushable wipes, they are a major enemy of your entire plumbing system. They just do not dissolve like toilet paper. They create these massive blockages down the line. Seriously, just stick to toilet paper.
Okay, we've talked about the annoyances. Now we gotta get serious. These next things are the real red flags. These are the signals from your toilet that basically mean, hey, stop what you're doing and pay attention to me right now.
If you ever see a puddle of water forming around the bottom of your toilet, that is not something you just wipe up and forget about. This is a major warning sign. That water is coming from somewhere it absolutely shouldn't be. And it usually points to a failure in the seal between your toilet and the sewer pipe. That's the wax ring. Or it could mean the toilet bowl itself is cracked, or the flange connecting it to the floor has been compromised.
And look, the consequences here are severe. That water isn't just making a mess, it's seeping right into your subfloor, creating the perfect home for mold and causing the wood structure of your house to literally rot away. We're talking thousands of dollars in damage.
The next red flag is one you hear, not see. It's that bizarre gurgling sound coming from the toilet after you flush, or maybe even when a nearby sink or tub is draining. Let's be real, your plumbing should not sound like a swamp monster.
That gurgling? That's the sound of trapped air being forced through water because it has nowhere else to go. It's a classic early warning sign that there's a blockage or a venting problem deep in your drain lines, and it could even mean a sewer backup is on its way.
And finally, if your toilet moves, if it rocks or feels at all unstable when you sit down, that's not just uncomfortable. It is a sign of a serious problem right at its foundation. A toilet is meant to be completely solid, no movement. If it's wobbling, it means the bolts holding it to the floor are loose, the flange is damaged, or, and this is the worst-case scenario, the subfloor it's sitting on is rotting away, most likely from a slow, hidden leak you didn't even know you had.
Okay, so you've listened to your toilet and you've diagnosed the problem. Now comes the million-dollar question. Can you fix this yourself, or is it time to call in a professional? Making the right call here is absolutely key.
So here's a really simple way to think about it. The simple fixes inside the tank, replacing a flapper, adjusting that little float arm, those are perfect DIY projects. But the second you see any water damage, or you're dealing with clogs that keep coming back, or you smell sewer gas, or you hear that gurgling, it's time to stop. Pick up the phone and call a licensed plumber. Do not risk it.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that your toilet isn't just some passive thing in your bathroom. It's an active diagnostic tool for your entire home's plumbing. Those little annoyances can point to some major hidden costs, and those serious red flags, well, they're urgent warnings.
Listening to these small signs is the absolute best way to prevent a massive, expensive disaster down the road.
And really, that leaves us with an even bigger question, doesn't it? The toilet is just one piece of a huge, complex system. If it's trying to send you these kinds of messages, what other parts of your home might be trying to tell you something too?